system. So whereas Foundation is an accounting system and is primarily used on computers, usually in an office setting, these HQ products are designed to be used on tablets, smartphones. Sure, they can be used on computers too, but they're more mobile driven, where you don't have to be in the office. You can be on the go, you can be in the field, you can be out of state. So you can be able to be in these different locations and still be able to handle your typical workload. And our HQSuite, like I said, it kind of goes in a few different directions. I would say primarily the main focus of our HQSuite is project management software, web-based project management software, and that's where it comes into play with Foundation's Project HQ, Foundation's Crew HQ, and then Foundation's Executive HQ. Also part of our HQSuite would be an HR product. It's called HR HQ, and then a safety product aptly named Safety HQ. So those are everything that we have, involved in our HQSuite. And today I'm going to kind of just give you a good overview about what these are all about. And if you are interested in any of these or interested in setting up kind of a one-on-one demonstration, we'd be happy to do so. Yeah, I'll kind of go through an overview first, and then I'll throw out just kind of a simple poll question that you guys can fill out and answer, and then we can certainly reach out. So with that being said, I'll kind of jump into it. So yeah, first and foremost, I would say, the HQSuite is a web-based project management platform. That's where the majority of the products that encompass the HQSuite, that's kind of their main background. And this would be the home page for that platform. And like I mentioned earlier, it consists of 3 different products. There's Project HQ, which is document management. There's Crew HQ, which is project scheduling, and then Executive HQ, which is reporting. Now, Project HQ, let me kind of hop into a particular job here. And this would be, the home page for a particular job, where you've got a list of all of the different daily log entries that you can fill out. There is a schedule overview that kind of gets into Crew HQ, but then there is an area for emails, there's an area for action items, there's an area for weather. Now let me hop out to the home page here. I think this job will have a few more informational fields. Yeah, we got some emails there, we got some action items, the weather conditions based on that job location. But yeah, the main focus of Project HQ is to be able to create documents, email them out, track the correspondence back and forth, save different drawings, attachments, what have you. And I guess what that would look like, let me see on the side of my screen. Let me try. I apologize, guys, if you hear me. All right, I think I've got you guys back there. Yeah, let me kind of move some stuff around. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what happened. Kind of a little technical issue here. Yeah, it looks like everything's been reestablished. Let me pull it back over here. There we go. There we go. Apologize about that. So this would be, I guess our main Project HQ area, or if you kind of look down the left-hand side, you can get into action items, AIA worksheets, daily logs, documents, punch lists. There's also a section where you can review the job budget. Now, this information, I mentioned earlier how all these different HQ products will pull into Foundation. So when you set up a job, you create the job budget. The original job budget, that's going to flow into Project HQ here. Same thing with customers, vendors, and employees. Same thing with equipment items, inventory items. These are all items that are going to pull into here. So this would be your original job budget, but then some of the other, I would say, more important or more impactful pieces that come into play here would be change order management. So you're able to create and manage change orders, and then these can actually push back into Foundation. You can create purchase orders, you can create subcontracts, and then these would push back into Foundation. And to back up a little bit earlier, there's a section here called AIAs. So your AIA billings, you can put these together, your schedule of value, your line item billings, and then these can get pushed back into Foundation. Yeah, I guess the main concept, like if I pull up like a request for change here for any type of document, is you can, I guess first off, you can always custom create the different details and templates for this for a document, but you can fill out the main verbiage. These can be then emailed directly out of here, and then after the fact, you can always keep track of different correspondence that goes back and forth. You can keep track of any of the emails that have been sent, and as far as email, you can send emails directly out of here. It would connect to your Outlook account or whatever you're using for email, and it would be able to track all that information back and forth. And then for attachments, you can store unlimited drawings and pictures and attachments. They can be any type of file, PDF, JPEG, even Word and Excel. There's a feature here, like a little pen right there, that lets you know if there's any sort of markups, or even, it'll keep track of document layers. It'll let you know document history as far as who's made changes or updates to that. So Project HQ, that's kind of the main idea. You can create these documents, you can email them out, you can track all the correspondence back and forth, all the attachments, the drawings, and then in the case of AIAs, purchase orders, subcontracts, and change orders, that information can push back into Foundation. Now a secondary piece would be Crew HQ. Now this is a scheduling tool. So this is where, as a usually a project manager, I guess, well, whoever your organization would be scheduling out the jobs, you'd have access to a screen like this where you can see all of your active jobs, and you can always, up at the top corner up here, change the view by job to employee or equipment, depending on how you might want to view it. Like if I want to see where all my employees were that day, I can do that. And then in the other corner, there's some different filtering tools. There's a map tool, so you can see on a map different project locations, different unscheduled tasks that are out there. You can see, you can set different time frames, but the idea is you can click anywhere on the board, and then it will allow you to fill in all the details for that task, from task name to dates, times, the location, which that'll pull off the job address by default, but if you ever wanted to override that here, you could. Resources, this is where you can schedule out your different employees, contacts, crew, equipment, material. If you wanted to set up dependencies where you can connect different tasks, you can do that. And then when you save out a task, it'll push out a notification to your employees to let them know where they're going. So that would be Crew HQ. And then the third part of our HQ suite, at least when it concerns project management, is Executive HQ, which this will open up. I've got it selected. You can actually have multiple companies. That's where I can kind of toggle between different companies there. But this would be the job cost reporting part of this, where it'll show all of your grand totals at the top, and then on the bottom half, more of a WIP schedule, over under schedule. And you can always limit what jobs people can see. That's kind of the case all throughout the HQ suite. But then from here, you can kind of toggle between your projects, and then down the left-hand side, select a job number that would then open up and kind of showcase all of the different details. And even here, I can drill in. If I wanted to see, hey, what made up billings, I can select billings, and then it'll show that information right there. Or if I wanted to see what made up, site preparation, I can drill into that cost code, and it'll show me all the different moving parts and pieces for that. So that would be the Executive HQ. So that would be more on the end of project management from our HQ suite. And then, I guess, moving outside of project management, there's a product, let me kind of pull this over here, called Safety HQ. Now, this is like it sounds, this is a health and safety management app for your employees out in the field. Some of the different key features would be toolbox talks, inspections, trainings, certification tracking, safety data sheets, hazard analysis, JSAs, things like that. And this would integrate back with your foundation software too, as far as pulling jobs, pulling employees. Now, this wouldn't push anything back into foundation per se, like Project HQ does with AIA billings, change orders, purchase orders, and subcontracts. This would more be a native app that would live outside of foundation, but allow your employees to keep track and receive different notifications regarding safety and training management. So there's Safety HQ, and then the fifth part, let me pull this over here, is our newest part of the HQ platform. It's called HRHQ. This is a product that we developed to, if you're familiar with our e-access portal, this would be an enhancement to that e-access portal. So this is going to allow your HR employees, your admin level employees to probably take a little bit more of a, active role in keeping track of this information with your employees. And what I mean by that is your employees would have access to all of their information. They can review, they can always make edits or changes, and then there can be a notification / approval or rejection side of it back on the admin or HR person. Now, there's a couple different levels for HRHQ that we offer. There's HRHQ Basic, and then there's HRHQ Premium. HRHQ Premium, the only difference between the Basic and the Premium is Premium would include electronic onboarding. Now, outside of that, there's really two sides to this. There's the employer side and then the employee side. Now, I have an admin account, so this would be an example of what you would be able to see from that level there. And then from an employee's perspective, let me kind of open up an employee record here just to kind of walk through some different information there. Like I'll select this employee here. So this would be an example of what they would be able to see, where at least where you'd see employee information down to goals. They wouldn't see everything all the way in the far left-hand corner. That's more on the admin level side there. So this would be actually the information that they would have access to. Not necessarily would they have all of this, but they could. A lot of this depends on, from an employer perspective, an admin level, what do you want them to have access to? What can they make changes or edits to? But just some of the information that they can see through here: personal information, employment information, this is usually locked down because you don't want them changing this because it can impact how accounting handles on the back end, or how workers' comp might calculate something like that. But this is where they can review or make edits to emergency contacts or dependents or beneficiaries. Payroll and taxes, this is where they can look up their pay history. So sure, this would cover pay stub information. This would also get into, over here, W-2s, assuming they consent electronically to receiving these. And then if they do want to have access to reviewing direct deposit information or making changes there, tax information, they can see this information, maybe make changes to, and again, there's always an approval side of it on the admin. So just because an employee would make a change to, say, their direct deposit information doesn't mean that it's going to automatically update and save back on your foundation side. I guess how that would happen is whenever an employee makes a change, if you're an admin, you would always get a notification through here. You can actually see some documents that are going to notify you. But then on top of that, there can be an email or a text alert that can go out as well. You can have all three turned on if you want, but what's going to happen is that that admin person is going to get that notification, and then they can receive the approval notification, come through here, press the approval button, and they're going to see everybody that has made a request, and then they can approve or reject it. If they approve it, that's where it'll update their employee record back in foundation along with here. And then I guess if an admin wants to make any change, of course, there is no approval process because they kind of have full override authority. But yeah, they can review and potentially make changes to that information, different benefits or miscellaneous deductions. There is a whole part to HRHQ for time off requests, where they can submit a PTO request, which can go back to the admin team to review or approve. Document management, so whether it's just a standard PDF or graphic file, they can do that. There can be the ability to upload different federal and state forms. There can be Verify documents, so that's where from an admin level, if you wanted to push out different documents that an employee would have to review and sign off on, you can, and that's kind of where you can see some notifications here. Drug policy document needs to be signed off today for that person. So yeah, you can get notifications on either side, the employer or the employee side. There's also certification tracking, performance reviews, place to jot down different notes, keep track and manage different performance review related goals that are out there. So that's an example of what an employee would see. And then yeah, from an employer perspective, yeah, you're more or less, I guess, administrating everything. So you kind of have an overview board, you have the employee screen there. As far as the electronic onboarding, new hire for employees, how this would work is when you offer somebody a position at your company, you can come into this top corner up here and go to create employee and then fill in basic information, name, email, phone number, start date, work location for the state W-4. And then they do need a permission group, because once they become an employee, what are they going to have access to? What types of fields can they make modifications to? And then what's going to happen is that's going to push out an email to this future employee, I guess, at this point. And on that email would be a link that they can click to then go through and fill out all of their personal information. And I've kind of started myself here, kind of give you an idea of what those fields would be. But they'd go through and fill out personal information. And it's like a little wizard or a genie. You kind of fill out personal information, go save and next, go to contacts, go to direct deposit, W-4, I-9, EEO, which these are all done electronically, pretty much from the W-4s on down. Veteran self-identification, work opportunity tax credit, and then they'd be able to submit this back to the admin team, who would then be able to fill out the remaining pieces down here. If there's vacation plans or benefit information, confirm tax withholding statuses. And then at that point, it would actually create the employee not only here in HRHQ, but also back in your main foundation account. So that would be more the electronic onboarding part of it. But yeah, time off review. There's also a calendar. If you wanted to review, somebody's calendar or company-wide calendar, you can see that, or even toggle between different employees or different teams or departments. Here's where you can always manage different documents, keep track of certifications, performance reviews, bulletin board messages. So these can always be created and pushed out to different individuals, different departments there. There are some reports that can be run through here, more related to some of the fields that I've talked about, W-2s, PTO balances, performance reviews, certifications. And then at the bottom you have settings, which this is where you would be able to create all these different security permission groups and assign them out to your different people, along with setting all the different defaults, along with pulling in all of your existing employees. So if you were to get this, it's not like to get going you'd have to manually set up for all of your employees, or it's not like all of your employees would have to go through the onboarding process. All of your current employees would pull into here automatically, and then you can assign them the different security protocols and whatnot. So that is HRHQ. So those are all the different pieces that we have here within our HQ family. Again, I guess just to kind of recap a little bit, we've got our, this would be Crew HQ, more from a scheduling standpoint. We also have Project HQ, which is document management. Then we have Executive HQ, which is job cost reporting. So those three are firmly in the project management sphere of that scope. And then there's also Safety HQ, which is a safety tracking app. And then last but not least is HR HQ, which is a employee self-service HR tool and electronic onboarding tool that we have out there. So with that being said, I am going to go ahead and release a polling question, which if you could answer, we would appreciate it. But this just kind of helps us, gauge if you are interested in these products. We'd be happy to reach out and kind of go over some more details, or set up a one-on-one demonstration with you and your team there. So I'll give you guys a little bit of time to kind of go through and fill that out there. All right, give you guys a couple more seconds, and excuse me, while you guys are finishing that up, I can kind of turn the floor over to you guys. There's a place on the GoToWebinar area to fill out some questions if you have any questions. I do see we do have a question already. I'll go ahead and close the poll. I appreciate it, everybody. So the first question we have is there a hiring portal in HRHQ? So that I guess that I would take that to be more the electronic onboarding, like over here on the left-hand side where you see new hires. So it's not, at least currently, it's not a kiosk type of scenario where somebody would walk into your office, walk up to a computer and fill information out. It would be more of they would be sent an email. So that's where kind of up here in the top corner you'd go to create employee, fill in their basic information. They would receive an email, and then that would send an email with a link that they can click to then fill out all their onboarding information electronically. Oh, I got you. There's more of an elaboration. So they use a different HR product, and they're looking for more of a way to get a job listing, more applicant tracking. So currently, no, there is no applicant tracking in HRHQ. That's something that we're looking at. Hopeful to get started next year, or early next year. I think they've already started scoping it out. Don't have any definitive time frames, but they are looking to get applicant tracking added to HRHQ. And then a question here, but it looks like mainly kind of interested in the project HQ and maybe HRHQ and just how does purchasing work? So would that be, I guess we'll reach out to you as long as you kind of answer that polling question. But if you're kind of referring to purchase orders as far as like purchasing, that's where down here in Project HQ within this committed cost section, you'd have this purchase order area. And this shares a lot of fields with what you might already be doing in Foundation. It would pull the next number from the purchase order, terms, vendors. If you have our inventory module, it would pull inventory parts. You're able to code out everything as far as cost codes, cost classes, in addition to putting in quantities and unit costs, extended costs, and everything like that. But the idea is you can create these. If you need to send these out, email these out, you can, but at the end of the day, this is where this would be able to push into Foundation. Purchase orders would be able to sync over onto the Foundation side. So, and that's similar to subcontracts. That's actually similar to change orders. That's similar to AI billings. You'd be able to create the documents, email them out, track all the back and forth, store drawings and pictures and attachments, and then whenever it's ready, whenever you're done, I guess, dealing with in this case, the supplier, the vendor, or it could be the customer if it's a change order, that's when you can push that into Foundation. And then a question, for our HQSuite, does that include, everything, Project HQ, Executive HQ, Crew HQ? No, they can be separate. They're if you just want to add one or just two of the items, yeah, we're flexible. So sure, you can add everything, but no, you can just add, whichever pieces you like. And a question, in HRHQ, is there opportunity for asset tracking and training tracking? Not really, no. There's certification tracking, but I know that's different than training tracking. There's really no asset tracking in really either of these. So yeah, unfortunately, nothing on that front. And then a question here, what would be the main benefit of the HQSuite if you already have Foundation? Flexibility, that's the biggest thing. Being able to, I guess I can talk more specifically to, well, I'll talk about everything. I mean, Safety HQ, there's nothing like, we don't have any safety tracking within Foundation. Then from an HR perspective with HRHQ, Sure, you have the whole admin side of it, which is going to be easier and more intuitive to use than what you would with the foundation software. But the big benefit is to your employees. They have access to all their information, whereas they wouldn't. Now, on the HQSuite side for project management, um, that is, you can kind of look at it, being easier and more intuitive to use. But for a lot of companies, from a cost perspective, it's actually cheaper to have their project managers in that than there is to be in your foundation system. If you have project managers using a 2 to 3 user licenses to log into foundation to look up certain information, that would kind of be a wash from a cost standpoint. So, and that's not even to mention taking advantage of all the other features that are in, Project HQ and Executive HQ and Crew HQ to kind of manage all those things. So, convenience, easier to use, more intuitive, and there would be overall a cost savings for some of these areas. And training is included. So yeah, any product that we offer, there is training. So we provide training on everything that we do have to offer. So if you did decide to add any of these items, training would be part of that purchase. All right, guys, I'll hang on just another minute or two just to make sure everybody's all set. I think we're good. So I do appreciate you guys spending a little bit of your afternoon here with me. If you have any follow-up questions, feel free to reach out. Let's see here. Let's say right there is my information. Feel free to call or email. Email is usually a little bit better just because I'm on and off the phone all throughout the day. But at the same time, checking emails too. So yeah, if you guys need anything, feel free to reach out. I'm sure we'll have some people from our team just kind of reach out just to touch base, based on some polling questions that you've answered there. But otherwise, I appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your week. All right, thanks everybody. Bye-bye.